This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.
Oh, that's very tough. I think I'd choose Gordon Ramsay. He's a pussycat compared to my wife.
Arsenal are just like a nothing team now, aren't they?
Ooh. I personally think he was fucking his PA, he was bringing his PA for lunch, and she was a vegan.
Nobody ever called it foraging. He was just scratching around in dirt.
Yeah, Halston's got some habits, all right.
The prostitutes, football, and Gordon Ramsay, and 4% dwarfs. That is obviously true.
Firstly, Nicola Sturgeon should fuck off.
Last time I was in Thailand, I ate a raw buffalo and its offal and blood and bile lard.
That's some fat, bloated, bearded mess.
By which C word do you mean? Because if I'm thinking of the C word to go with the government, it's a very different one to the one that you might be talking about.
Welcome to Series 3 of Grilled by the Staff Canteen. I'm Cara, the editor of the Staff Canteen, and if you enjoy this episode, please do recommend us or rate us where you get your podcasts, because the more listeners, the better. The first 6 episodes of our third series are all about keeping it in the family. So I'm talking to those in hospitality who have braved working together with family. My guests today are father and son, and they work alongside each other at Michelin-starred The Crown at Burchetts Green. And I'm sure during this podcast they will reveal that running your own business isn't as easy and possibly glamorous as it may appear. George and Simon Bonwick, welcome to Grilled.
Hi, thanks for having us today.
Hello.
Hello. I say our thumbs up's not going to work, Simon, because people can't see you. So how are you both?
I'm well. I don't know how George is because I ain't seen him. You all right?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm doing lockdown, your daily routine, walking, eating, drinking, keeping yourself going, really keeping yourself busy, motivated, having a routine.
It's all very important just to keep going, isn't it? So yeah, good to hear. Well, thank you both for joining me. Simon, people might not know, but you have 9 children, and of course your lovely wife Deborah. But George, it was you were the lucky one that Simon decided was going to join us today on Grilled. So I'm going to ask you, George, what is your best memory or story of working with your dad?
Best memory or story?
Careful.
Careful. You caught me right on a blank there. Just if you come back to me with a different question, I'll come back to that one. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Simon, do you have one of working with George?
Well, yeah, I mean, working with George, his ethic, his work ethic is really why, we get to work with each other, because before he was with us, Dean was with us. And the good thing about them is they like work. And so it's really important that we like work and we like what we're doing within our work. Of course, that's common sense and everything, isn't it? That makes sense. But they really love work. They love getting things done. And I love that. But there's one little thing he does, which, sends me round a bend. And it's nothing I haven't said to his little face over there. In that is, it don't matter how hot the plates are or the bowls are or, the little copper pans. You've got to pick them up with a cloth. You've got to take them to the diner, our guests, our lovely customers, with a cloth, a nice clean rag. I love it. When there's a cloth, it sort of sends a message as it goes down, warm. But they got asbestos fingers and they like to whip it out without me seeing, and if I make a mistake, it's like, what's that? You forgot the sauce. Get that on there now. They don't let anything leave the pass that ain't 100%. But they quickly do a swift one without the lovely clean cloth, the wrong rag. And he loves to do that, especially when he's really under it, when he's doing a bottle of champagne, jugs of water, and all that malarkey, and he's whizzing around. And I think, well, hang on a minute, I've got all the cloths ironed here. They're all nice. They're all lovely white and starched, but bless him. Yeah, that's the only little thing he does out of our 16-hour day is he likes to occasionally take a plate without a cloth. And I don't know how he does, because they're so hot, but he does. Yeah, he doesn't get away with it too much. Like I don't get away with nothing. So we compliment each other. I suppose the the moral to that little question, really, or the little drift of it is that there's nothing we can get away with. Any of us, we don't let us get away with anything. So I think that's what makes us consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether that's consistently shit or good, I don't know. No, people seem to like us. It all goes well. I got to stay quiet out the back in the kitchen. They don't let me out. So yeah, that's another thing.
Keep you in there.
Yeah, they don't. They don't want to see too much of me. Really, they don't want to see my mug out the front. So I don't do that. Yeah, that's about it. So working together really is, it's just about, that's the only niggly little thing that that they all like to do actually, is smuggle the food out without a cloth, even though the plates are boiling. Well, I don't know how they do it. I couldn't get there. I won't be able to get to the table without, God, Bennett, this is hot. But I don't. Anyway, they don't get away with it too often. Just like I don't get away with nothing either. It's all sweet. It's a two-way street. It's all good.
Okay, good to hear. George, anything about Dad?
Just listening to Dad, I guess what we do every day is it's a constant thing, a consistent something we do. So it's not so much our best memory per se. It's in the morning how we start every day. I make Dad a coffee. It's the first thing I do. 3 capsules, so 3 shots of espresso with a bit of milk, 1 sugar. So I bring it to him, and then we head to our place called the War Room, and that's just where we talk about, at the very start of the week, all the customers coming in, potential ifs, has-beens, problems, what we can do better, and so forth. So that morning meeting, when he called it the War Room, because it's just us against the world type thing, is our business, our passion, our thing, and that's probably the best memory, is being part of that and being part of the War Room and making decisions. And
yeah, well, that sounds got 3 shots of 3 shots in your espresso. That wow.
Yeah, I've got to have it. I've got to have it.
I've got to have it. Right, I'm gonna put you both on the spot now and ask you a few Mr. and Mrs. style questions. So I want to find out how much you know about each other. So, George, what's the most embarrassing thing your dad has ever done?
Thrown a cyclist out of the pub for putting oil all over the toilet. Over the sink handles in the toilet.
Okay, I feel like I need more details on this story.
So we'd shut in the afternoon from about 3 o'clock, and a guy, we're in the countryside on a main road, and a lot of cyclists use this pathway, use the main road that connects out into the woodlands paths and all that. So there's a lot of mud and a lot of cyclists around. One chap on his bike, he pulled up on our flower bed on the front of our pub, where we have these beautiful little flower pots, lit up a cigarette, threw it out, stuck it in our plant pot, turned his bike upside down because his chain had come off the actual bike. So he got grease, oil all over his hands. We were looking this event unfold out the front of the pub, because we care about our little pub and we like watching what's going on and taking a note of the village. And we knew he was going to come to us and go, he needs something, water, whether to wash his hands, cup of tea, something out there. And rightly so, he came up, we let him in, let him use our loos and whatnot, and he just put grease everywhere. He put the oil from the chain all over our walls. He just, no respect, mud all over the floor. And I don't know, Dad had been in one of his moods all day, I'd say. It was one of his, he'd not had the best starts of the day. The coffee might have been a bit wrong, and then he just lost it, and the guy had to go. He threw him out, and that was that. Just off the handle type thing. Get out. And that was one of the funniest memories I have it. And that was really early on when we first started out here, and Dad was, pretty stressed, I'd say. But,
well, I bet he never came back again.
I don't think so.
Simon, if money was no object, what would George buy?
Big coffee machine, probably. Big coffee machine, brand new glass cleaner. The list is endless. We never, we got the bare essentials. We're real knuckles and dusts, we are. And of course, because I'm prone to tantrums, like he said, in the early days, I was a lot worse than I am now. I love everything hyper clean. So we'd like another dishwasher he'd probably buy, even though we got a lovely one, another glass washer, because we always have to do everything twice anyway. So we do everything at night, and then we do it all again in the morning, because it doesn't feel right to start the day. And then at the end of lunch service, if we're doing Sunday lunch, we've got to do it again, and then again we've got to do it twice again. So it's he'd like another washing machine, another glass washer, and a coffee. Yeah, I imagine. Oh, and a load of new water jugs. I suspect. We're always short of something.
George, I love that he's assumed that you'd use all this money to kit out the restaurant and not buy yourself something.
Yeah, I think that's it. Work takes over your life. It becomes your life. You're doing it 16 hours a day. It is what you do. So anything to make that easier, make your day run more smooth, is worth a lot more than a fancy car.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I ain't got a motor.
Have you not?
No, I ain't got a motor. I've got a kitchen. That's all you need. That's all you need to be. Well, me personally, George, he's got a motor.
I have to drop him home sometimes, pick him up sometimes, do the usual bits and bobs to help out. But
well, I see what you're thinking there, Simon. So you don't have a motor, so it means you get chauffeured around all the time.
You've sussed me. You've got me. But I can't do it anyway. I've got no idea. I just like being in the kitchen holding knives and, clacking the pans around. That's me. And but yeah, we're very lucky like that, because there's enough of the guys to drive me somewhere where I need to be at some particular time. I'm very, very lucky and fortunate. I always sponger lift. Old sponger. Yeah.
So, George, what's one thing that most people won't know about your dad? I mean, he's just revealed that he's a sponger, so you can't have that one. So what other thing might people not know about him?
He's utterly hopeless with numbers.
No, I'm not.
With numbers. So Dad goes by a policy of 3, 6 and 9. So those numbers are basically the only numbers he goes by. So if he's cooking, it's on 300, it's on 600, or on 900, because he uses an old school electric hob rather than actual gas. So it's all number based, and everything is to do with that, and that's what he knows. He doesn't know, 7 times 7, and that's how many vegetables I need. It's visual sight. Everything's on touch and sight, and not mathematical equation, I guess.
Bloody grass. Yeah, he's a grasser. No, I'm brilliant with numbers, as long as it's 369. It has to be 369, or there's no energy. It's no good. I can only work with 369. That makes me feel good. So everything's booked at 3. Everything has to have a 3 or a 6 and a 9. It has to be that way. He's absolutely right. Yeah.
I feel like I'm learning so much about you.
Well, yeah. It's all about. Yeah, it's got to be about that. It's got to be about the magic and currency. Culinary currency responds to 369. I reckon. For me, it does anyway. I really like 369. But he is right. I'm pretty crap with numbers.
Okay.
And when I was a big chef with a big brigade and all the rest of it, I always had excellent sous chefs who didn't like the cooking but loved the numbers. So I love the cooking, and they used to get on with the numbers. And I was always very careful to get a fantastic senior sous chef or a sous chef who could do the numbers.
Yeah. Well, again, very, very clever. It's well thought out there.
Well, it was back in the day. It was back in the day. It was a good move. But of course, I had to, they have days off, don't they? So they just put it all the admin, stack all the admin up, and wait till they come in.
I bet they love that.
Well, they do those brilliant chefs with the clipboards. They love that. They used to wear their hat on their eyebrows, and I used to think that's lovely. That's the chef for me. Then I can run off in the kitchen and work with the commies and the chef de parties and the dishwasher. I love the plonge, the chef de plonge. My favourite man in the house. Well, that was the old days. Now we do it all. So we do it all now. Yeah.
I realised I just set that up there and just said a negative thing about it. Yes, we can look at it negatively, people, some may be positive. But a more obvious one is actually painting. He paints every picture that's in the Crown pub. And you'll notice right now, Cara, you'll see, I imagine, paint splodges.
Yeah.
So any free time he has, especially with the younger ones, you know, the younger ones, you get to do painting together, and yeah, that's something, and he's really good at it. So alongside cooking, he's all right at that.
Yeah, he's one.
Simon, is that something you've always done then?
No, when we got the pub, there's just so many bare walls. Even if you get a tiny pub, you know, even if you get a nice little pub, you think, cool, yeah, I'll kit this out. It won't cost me nothing. I'll just, you know, and I am and was so in love with the Crown when I first met it, and it used to wink at me, and I used to think, cool, I like you, and it used to think, cool, I like you back, and I felt it. And once I was inside it, I was amazed at how many bare walls that the pub had. And I looked at sort of like thinking, cool, I'll go and buy some pictures and things. But of course, it costs a fortune for anything decent. And I thought, oh, Gordon Bennett, I better quickly knock up a few pictures. And I haven't stopped, actually. So any spare moment I get, I knock up. And as George says, all the family love getting involved. And then we bung them up on the wall. And if people say they're rubbish, I don't mind, because it's, you know, it's a nice bit of action on the wall. And it's got a little, usually got a story behind it. Yeah. So,
I love that. That's a brilliant thing to learn about you that I didn't know.
Enthusiastic amateur. That's what I am. And I really like it, yeah, because I can get lost. Because, of course, right now, I'm painting one a week at the moment for the bar. And, of course, it's nice to get lost when you're at sea in the, you know, the sea of the chronicles of COVID-19, these COVID times. It's, you know, we're out at sea, the restaurant, the pub, and you know, we're not sure where we're going to wash up. We want to wash up on a wave of success and reboot and get going again. But right now, painting's really good for, you know, taking your mind off, making sure that VAT bill gets paid on the 3rd of February, and then again by the 31st of March. You know, because all the little things that sort of nag away when you climb into bed, put your little pajamas on with your hot cocoa and a sticky bun, you think, bloody hell. You know, so yeah, painting's good for that. As I said, enthusiastic amateur, but I do, I love it because it takes me to another space. It's like when I'm cooking. When I'm cooking at home or when I'm at work, there's levels. So realms of a culinary realm I go to. I generally levitate or go into some strange zony realm where I can just float. Because when you're cooking on your own, you have to, you know, you get 20 covers more or less at once between 7 and 7:30. And with COVID, that had to be out by 10. Which was a pity because we love to love you all night and, you know, smother you in service. And, I tend to levitate and float in culinary realms. And the one at home is amazing because, you know, cooking for the family. As I said, Deborah and I, well, I haven't said yet, Deborah and I have been together 30 years, you know, married 30 years now. There's nothing like quite cooking at home. But then again, there's nothing quite like cooking at work. But they are two different realms. And I love both spaces. I love being in them, and I love, you know, I love going through natural gestures and movement of cooking and cookery to get it right. I think you have to go to that space, otherwise you balls it all up. You'll be so careful not to bugger it all up cooking. But with art, if you're an enthusiastic amateur like me, you can just whack it on the canvas and just splodge it about. And if it's rubbish, you can say, well, I'm an amateur.
Well, I think it's good to have a distraction, like you said, at the minute, isn't it? So it's good to have another outlet. So that's brilliant.
Yeah, COVID definitely ain't going to send me mad because I'm already mad. So I've been there, done that. So I'm all right. I've survived. I've already crossed the abyss. You know, I've already been across the abyss and seen how deep and dark it is. And so actually, don't get me wrong, I've got empathy and sympathy for everything that's going on around. I'm fully aware that every pub, restaurant in hospitality and all types, all at sea in their own little way. And, you know, the waves are swooping up and down 60 foot, 100 foot. And you go down, you go up like back down, then back up. And, you know, we're just all waiting to get to that shore and, you know, dock and then see what it looks like, you know. Hopefully, I think we'll be busier.
Well, hopefully, yeah, fingers crossed.
Well, forever positive, forever optimistic. And I know George wants to be busy too, because he must be going mad in his little flat.
A question for both of you. If you could eat one thing for the rest of your lives, what would it be? George, what would it be for you?
Mum's lasagna and chips.
I love that it's mum's cooking.
Mummy food, home food, everyday food.
Simon, what about you? If you could eat one thing for the rest of your life?
Yeah, toast with butter. The butter's got to be at the right temperature. I've got to be standing at the toaster or the grill just for that finite moment when the toast is absolutely ready and coloured at each corner and the butter is spreadable. It's quality butter. It's butter from Brittany. And I just lash it all over the hot toast as it melts and quickly munch it up, crunchy, crunchy, munchy. And that with a cup of tea, wow. That would be enough for me if they said to me, what's your last, Yeah, let me cook me toast, because you've got to do it yourself. There's no good in a rack. And no. You do. So, yeah, I love toast and tea. But then I love coffee and all. And a croissant.
Oh, you're adding extras here.
No, I shouldn't have done that. I know. So I'll stick with the toast and good butter.
Brilliant. I've got to say, actually, toast, when it's good, is really good, isn't it, toast? And lasagna, if someone does you a lasagna. But anyone cooking anything for me, if someone else has cooked it, I always think it tastes better. So
you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Cara. You're absolutely right.
So I also have some questions from our audience. So I'm going to ask you a couple of those as well. The first one, Simon, who would play you in a film about your life? George, feel free to give him any suggestions on this one.
Jack Nicholson.
I do like that. Yeah, but I love that. I love that Joker guy. I'm going to try and say his name now. He's not called Chaconde because that's a cake. That's a sponge. So I'm going to call him Jacquin or something. I love him. Yeah, River Phoenix brother, who does the Joker. Yeah, the Joker. I think he'd be a laugh. I think that'd be funny. Because I'm full of tantrums still. I've got no testosterone left. I'm all right at 51. I've blown that out, but I'm still prone to the odd tantrum, which is disappointing. So the actor, that guy, the Joker, when he loses his mind, he's got to be prone to a tantrum and deliver it authentically.
I think a film about your life would be very entertaining, actually, Simon.
I don't think you don't want to know a lot of it.
Another one from Twitter. Chef One Wayner has asked, why is he blocked? Do you know?
No.
I just said
he probably I don't know. What happens, George? I mean, I don't know what I'm doing with those gadgets and those buttons. I mean, everyone assumes I seem to think I know what I'm doing with Instagram and Twitter. And the truth be known is, as soon as the phone's in my hand, I don't know what's going on.
It might be an accidental blocking. You might not have even known you've done it. It did make me laugh that Paul Foster commented underneath and said, I used to be blocked as well, but I'm not now.
Yeah, but I probably didn't mean to do it. But that Paul, he's nice, isn't he? I've seen him at an event. He's a nice bloke. He sort of, he didn't. That's why he didn't speak to me, probably. I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't speak to me neither. No, why is he blocked? Well, he's probably blocked because I don't know. He probably swore. If he swore, I would have thought, fucking hell. Not really. Only joking.
Brilliant.
I don't know why he's blocked. I don't know. What did he put? Did he click on naked ladies? I don't like that. If he did that, I don't rate that.
I did ask him and he said he had no idea. I was like, right, okay, well, I will ask the question and we shall see what we get. And I definitely don't think he'd been expecting that. So.
We'll unblock him straight away, but he can't offend Deborah. Can't offend me. No, mummy's everything. Yeah, Deborah's our world. So
okay.
But mind you, she's not interested in Twitter. I quite like reading it sometimes. I like to see what people are doing. I think it's thingy. We're not political. I don't. Yeah, you know how it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, we shall. We'll see after this what happens next.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as much as I could keep asking you my non-hospitality related questions, I do have to ask you some things about working together and being in the industry. So, Simon, when you took on your very first solo project, which I know isn't this, you've had other restaurants in the past, was it always the intention that you would do that and your family would be involved, or were you not thinking that far ahead? Was it something that was very much for yourself?
No, the first pub I took on, I left a full-time position to do a pub on my own, and very, very naively, I thought I knew a load of stuff. You know, I'd worked in pubs for 15, 16 years, and prior to that, I'd done 15 years in big hotels, restaurants, and things. And I thought I knew a bit. And I thought, well, I'll employ some people, and nobody liked me, so they didn't hang about because I'm a nightmare to work with, and also, you know, I wasn't very good at the customer bit. You know, I really wasn't very good at that. I thought, you know, the cooking would say it all and do it all, and naively, I got that completely wrong, and that made me. You know, lose the first business. I whacked a lovely kitchen in there. It was really shiny, lovely stainless steel fabrication that I love, and I stood in it, and no one turned up. And then it was a private lease, and I got booted out. Yeah, I got booted out, and that was that one. And that dragged me through. That dragged me through some hard times. That dragged me through, you know, a very difficult situation for about a year. But at the end of that year, I opened another one thinking I knew a bit now. I'd cracked one up, messed it up. So I thought, I can do another one now because I know a bit. So I did another one, but I had a business partner, and that one didn't work out after a year either. But both times we won a lot of stuff, but there ain't no good to you. They're not as useful as a VAT rebate or a tax rebate. You know, basically it's what George said, is about the numbers. You've got to do the numbers. If you don't know the numbers, or if you're not surrounded by people who care about the numbers, then you know, it don't add up. Especially if you know you want to go doing what you want to do. So by the time I went and hid in private service, and I worked for about 3 different families, but I stayed for a very long time with one particular family that was very large. I was hankering after the pub going past the Crown that was empty, and it kept winking at me, and I knew that it wanted me like a magnet, and I took that on my own, and I stood there with nothing in the till most nights and hardly any customers. And then in the first year, we received a bib gourmand, and the weekends picked up, and that was when I needed to beg and ask people to come and help me because I was exhausted. You know, I was doing all the cleaning, all the cooking, all the cellar, and all of my Jack Jones. And the problem with that is that's not viable or sustainable long term. But I did do it for about 2 years. And then George was at Royal Holloway doing an ancient history degree, which he flying colours and all the rest of it. And he used to whip over and help out. And there was a lovely young lady, Tuesday Dixon, Clive Dixon's wife. She used to nip in and just do 35, 40 covers just like that and leave. She still speaks to me, but not a lot. And I buggered up 2 businesses, and I did that because I thought I knew a bit. And you know what I know now, having the family come on board after the first 2 years at the Crown with the bib gourmand, which was so important for exposure, as was the Good Food Guide and the AA Guide. It all gives you a little bit of kudos. And what I noticed about those 2 immediately, George and Dean working together, was their magnificent love for the customer. And I thought it was all about the food. So, you know, bit thick really to catch on that you got to love the people that are coming in the door. If they've got muddy boots on, you can't chuck them out. And I used to make that mistake and make them take their boots off. And, you know, people don't like that, do they? You know, and there's loads of things I did that I wish I hadn't done. I get in the confession box and tell Alexandra Dumas, the great chef down there, who's up there in the sky, you know, all the little things I've done. But the customer is king. Customer is king, and that's why we're still here, and that's why we're going to be here when this COVID is all over. It is honestly all about handling and loving and creating memories for customers. That's what I've learnt now. So I mucked it up because I didn't look after the customers. My own fault.
Well, absolutely, they are key, aren't they? So, George, when did you decide to start working at the Crown? And what was it that kind of drew you to it? Was it just to help out, or is it because you've been around it your whole life? Hospitality, was that something that kind of pulled you in?
It's something you always come back to. Is the ultimate answer there? But it started, must have been 5 years ago now. When I was at university, like I said, I'd get a phone call from Dad saying, "I've got no one to work out the front tonight, but I've filled the restaurant. I've managed to do it on a Friday night. Can you come and help out? Can you come and run the service for me? Because otherwise I'm going to be doing everything, cooking, serving. How's it even going to work?" So that's how Mum would zip over, pick me up, bring me back. I'd do the service, and that's how it started. And then when you graduate with a degree in ancient history and you go, "I don't want to be an architect or a teacher," you think, "Oh, right. I like customers. I love my dad. He's like my best friend. So working with him, why not give it a go and just see how it goes from there?" And that's exactly what happened. He offered me a job contract or whatever and just said, "Come and work with me." And that was that. The rest is history, really. We are where we are today because of it.
So we talked about this just before we kind of started recording the podcast. But what is your role currently at the Crown, George?
To provide a label for the outside world, it'd be, general manager, restaurant manager. But how Dad and I look at it is he does the kitchen and I do the front. So the front of house is everything during the service you can imagine, serving the customers, greeting, all that side of it. But also cleaning from the start of the day, cleaning the loos, doing all that to setting up. And Dad does the kitchen the exact same on that front. So a bit of everything, really. You have to do everything. It's not just one job. I'm not going to sit in an office at the back, type in menus. That's just part of it. You've got to do that. But yeah, so I'll just say general manager, really.
Okay. And Simon, what is the best and the worst thing about working with family?
For me, there's nothing. It's knowing that they've got a problem with me. That's the hardest thing. Knowing that, they're giving up a weekend for you. Maybe they're giving up a certain something or other for the Crown. They sacrifice a lot, and then you can't help thinking. Well, I know you think, and that's that. Yeah, that's what they're thinking sometimes, but they bite the bullet and always put the family first. I suppose that's why we're so tight. That's why we're a 30-year-old family, I suppose, is that we're very, very tight. But I know that, because I know how I think. When I used to be employed, I used to work for chefs, and I worked with some right chefs who would, and you'd think, but that's the thing. I like to be, I'm like everyone. There's nothing greater in human nature than wanting to be liked. And of course, you can't be because things happen. Things change every day. All the best plans are always weaving and wobbling about. And something has to happen, something has to give. And it always, so that, you make people make sacrifices, and that you possibly, even if you're their dad, it's like, so yeah, that don't make you feel great.
Yeah, but obviously, like you said, you're a very tight family because of it, so that's obviously a good thing. So George, what about you? Would you agree with that, or have you got in your mind what your kind of best and worst things are about being a family that work together?
I'll say that is the best thing ultimately, is the relationship that we have had. I was obviously brought up and Dad was my dad, he still is my dad, but he's become like my best friend, and that's, you get to work with your best friend every day, and You can't ask for more than that, really. And the worst thing, I guess, is just you are responsible for your actions. So if you let the team down in any way, then you know it's you, and so you got to admit to that and go, yeah, I messed up, and yeah, that's not the best feeling, because you feel like you're letting them down. So it's just tied into what Dad's saying, is you feel like you're letting them down or making them make sacrifices for you. So I would agree. That's sort of the worst thing.
Okay. Is your Simon, was your career highlight getting a Michelin star? And George, what would it feel like as a family when that happened? So Simon, you first.
Well, whether any chef, whether he admits it or not, whether he says I don't want that hassle, I'm not working towards it, or I don't, I'll go out on a limb and I'll say he's a bloody liar, because it's the ultimate. It's like, wow, where did that come from for us? We weren't, Dean was running the front, George was running it with him, and I was really understanding it's all about the customer. And that was 48 or something like that, 40, 47. It was a bit late to learn it's all about the customer, isn't it, and not about the cooking. And so when we won a star, I didn't feel I'd done anything different. I didn't feel my cooking had changed. I knew that I was levitating into a deeper realm of understanding. So when we did that, I felt very much it was theirs as much as mine. And I think every chef, he can say to me or any other people that, they're this, they're that, or that. But honestly, it's an amazing thing to have happened. And I'm very, very, financially, we were in the shit. And so to win a Michelin star brought all the kind of people we wanted to come and eat the food and enjoy the service, enjoy the service and eat the food, either which way round. What's more important. So all these people that started coming, and they come from all over the world. And I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. And there'd be people at my window, at the kitchen window. And I'm all right now, but the first year was a bit nerve-wracking. But I'm all right now, because I just do what I'm comfortable with cooking and what I like eating. So I do a lot. Everything I serve is not, I would eat it. I love eating. I'm a big chubby pig. So all the food I pop on the plate is always really rather lovely in my mind. And I love it. I love my food. So to be endorsed with the Michelin star for me, I didn't sleep for days. And I came into work. It was electric. Yeah, there's a real powerful energy, and it's still there. Nothing's changed for me. But I didn't hog it all. I don't think. I definitely felt like it was our families, because I knew that they'd made the difference, because I hadn't changed my cooking. I was sure of it. Maybe I had. Maybe people would say, "Oh, it's a little bit better now," or whatever. Also, the Crown dictates a particular style. The walls, the loos, the floor. The food has to sit comfortably within it. Within the whole atmosphere, and has to depict what the Crown is. So it's a country pub restaurant, and I'm cooking exactly the kind of food that fits in the countryside of Burchetts Green, inside a little country pub restaurant. And it's not any more, it's not any less, it's absolutely right. And the service is absolutely right. Everything, because the star aligned, everything was absolutely right. And a lot of chefs said to me, about bloody time too. They always thought that, and never thought you weren't going to be a Michelin star chef. It was just, it just took you a little bit longer than others. And funny, I wasn't thinking about it when we got it anymore. I was just thinking about, I was learning about the customer, to be honest. And that seemed to, so really, just an amazing thing in every which way, a positive, optimistic thing to achieve, which is part of all the teams. Yeah, I would say that.
And George, what about you? As like your dad's already kind of mentioned that he didn't hog it. It was the family. How did it feel as a family to achieve that?
Elation really is the word. Like when there's a recognition of 30 years of hard work for Dad on his side of it. He's put 30 years in of cooking, trekking around the world, doing this and that, sacrificing things for his family, and so forth. So on a personal level, it was really nice to see that recognition. But as a family, it's great. Like with the businesses out there, as long as the business is doing better and is providing for the family, that's the most important thing. So that creates a feeling of elation, I guess.
But staying with you, George, what have you learned from your dad when it comes to working in hospitality and being successful, do you think?
Don't bother if you're not 110% committed. If you don't want to be the best at it, don't bother. You're not going to succeed at it. What's the point in giving 80% and getting 50% back from it? Give 110% and you'll get 110% back in all walks of life.
Okay, that's brilliant, Simon. That's a nice piece of of something for George to have taken from you.
He's right. You've got to turn up, and doesn't matter how you feel, whether you've got a little bit of a headache, whether you are bothered about a bill that somebody's pressuring you for, a little bit busier than you thought tonight, than you anticipated being, so you've got to do a bit of extra mise en place. You've got to have a colossus capacity for work. The work ethic is to do what we're doing, I reckon. You can't shy away from it. You've got to get on with it, and therefore it takes 110% to be. Yeah, so he's right. Yeah, I'd imagine he's right.
And do you ever have arguments, and how are they resolved if you do?
Short, sharp, dealt with, done. Short, sharp, dealt with, done and dusted. No sulking. Even our 5-year-old Rosie's not allowed to sulk. We don't sulk. Everything is said, and it's hard for them because I'm dad, so it's not like I'm some Chinese Japanese warrior who demands respect and all that like in Mulan. I'm not like that. It's hard for them because they want to say, no, you've got it all wrong, mate, and so they do. And I go, I have to think, I check myself in, and I go, yeah, you're right. So we lash out sometimes at each other, but it's short, it's sharp, it's quick, and it's settled, and there's no room for sulking. It wouldn't work if there was an atmosphere or any sulking whatsoever. It just wouldn't work because the customer would know. And we're such a small little place. The customer has got to know we're happy. We're passionate. We do lash out on one another if it's not right. When things aren't right, I'm not perfect. So if I don't send out anything that's cocked up. It goes straight in the bin. But sometimes I might not have, it might be something might be leaving the past that I think's finished, and they tell me, "Oh, what about?" And I don't like it, but I've done it wrong, haven't I? So it can't go out. That's messing up my timing, and then of course that spirals into a pan in the wall and all the rest of it. But the thing is, they're right. So it's hard, but short, sharp, done and dusted, no sulking, and that's great. So there's no room for sensitivity, only in the cooking and the service. Sensitivity in the cooking with the customers, and that's it. I can't go on enough about how much the family look after the customers since their involvement. So yeah, short, sharp, shot, lash out either way, or at me or at them, and we don't sulk because we all love each other. It's all good. It's all gravy.
George, with all that said, would you recommend working with family?
Yeah, I would. Contrary to a lot of people would say, if you're tight enough and you love each other enough, then it will work. You'll get through it, and your highs, lows, you'll experience all those emotions together. So it's definitely worth it. Definitely would recommend it for sure.
And obviously you are a family-run business. Are there any families in the hospitality industry that you kind of think are also doing great things that you are kind of inspired by, or you think, oh, you know, what they're doing is amazing, or they're really successful? Is there other families that you've seen?
I think you have to look at the supply. The suppliers are key in that, and a lot of the time they're family run, they're family orientated businesses that we couldn't do our job without them. They support you as much as we support them, I guess, in buying their produce. So all of the family run suppliers, for sure, definitely those people are as much a success as we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it's so easy to forget that there's all of that going on behind what the end product is, isn't there? So yeah. Final question. So in terms of the future, Simon, are you ever going to step out of the kitchen and retire, or and leave the reins to your kids? No, you're shaking your head.
You know, at the end of the day, I'm a chef, and I love being a chef. And you know, I started right at the bottom. I lied about my age, really young. Left home, blagged a load of jobs, and I used to go around with a little roll of knives and a repertoire de la cuisine, and you used to work in 4 or 5 star hotels, and the chef used to be in the office, and you'd be on a section, and you'd have to interpret the menu that he'd written, and you'd do a dish from the repertoire. Say you're on the fish, and you do fillets of sole princess or something like that. That would mean there's going to be some asparagus and, you know, a glacé de poisson in there somewhere, and you're going to have to interpret that your way as a chef, your flair, your instinct, your knowledge. And if the chef tasted it at 12 o'clock and it was all good and you were en place, great. I used to think of television adverts, you know, like Finders and things like that, and I used to, because I was blagging it, like I used to try and replicate Heinz tomato soup or Campbell's chicken and mushroom. You know, that was the kind of thing I had in my head. And the chef used to rock up at one place about 12 o'clock to taste the stuff on the fish, and I'd say, "Great, isn't it? Just like Heinz." He'd say, "You chuck it in the bin." So yeah, you know, I look back and I love all that. I love all that. You know, that's 35, 36 years ago, and I love it. I love it. I started at 13. And I used to work with this lovely Scottish chef. It was amazing. He'd been in the Royal Navy, and he'd been at the Connaught. It was amazing. But of course, he was in his 50s then, and he used to drink a couple of bottles of red wine while he was cooking. And he used to work in his slippers, and his name was David Rollo. And he used to lose his temper with me, and he used to throw fish at me and all sorts of stuff. But I loved it, and I still love it today. I love it in every way. I love the way things smell in the morning. As soon as I open the back door, I instinctively know if the electric's off or a fridge is turned off. I'm totally tuned in to the walls, the floor and the roof of the Crown. I was like that when I was working for other people. I do ownership. It doesn't matter where. I always do ownership and give 110. And I'll never not be in a kitchen, I don't think, because, I'm never going to be part of the digital age in any way, shape or form. I'm just not bright enough. I'm very, very, very food suppliers. I love our suppliers. I love the way, but if they balls up, I don't like them. I love our suppliers. I love the stuff that we can get our hands on, and I love being on the phone and arguing the price. I love arguing the quality. I just love everything about the kitchen, really. And then I love all the seasons that sort of waft through the year, and I look forward to each season and then making the food lighter. The dishes don't necessarily change in the way of menu explanations and stuff, but what happens, through the spring it gets lighter, and lovely light little ingredients come through, and you get to use them lightly. And as the summer comes, you go into the summer lightly, and then it starts to get a little bit more heavier. And you get a little bit heavier, and then you have a rainy, stormy day in the summer, and it's unpredictable, and you've got to pull something out of your hat that suits that. And I love the twists and turns of the kitchen. I love the twists and turns of delivering something that's in keeping with the day, the month, and I'll always be a chef. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just love being a chef. I'd love to be a little bit slimmer and wear one of those lovely white aprons, but I can't do them up. I'd like to. Yeah, I've always. I like this Bernard Packard guy who used to. I think he's retired now. His son does it all, and in Paris. I like the way those. I just love French chefs. I love French chefs. I love France. Everyone talks about all the other wonderful things that are going on around the world, and they're right, of course. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be with your mind open and keen looking at what's happening and what's evolving. But I love the tradition of the 2 and 3 stars of France, Paris, and the countryside. And we love the Roux brothers. You talked about family businesses before to George. Of course, the guiding light, the Roux brothers. God rest their soul, the seniors. But we love that. But I love all the French families. I love all that. I like so the Packard family. The Loiseau family are still doing it, and Patrick Bertrand has been there forever and a day, and still interpreting a modern cuisine in the countryside. It's dead in the winter, these places, Family rest, they have to carry on, and it's very, very hard. Like Mark Renault, he's not there anymore, dead, and the restaurant died before he passed away, and it's a dying thing, family restaurants in the countryside. So we want to hang on and replicate that when we wash up on the shore after this choppy sea we're out in.
Yeah, absolutely. And George, obviously, your dad's not leaving the kitchen anytime soon. So what about you? What about your future? Do you see yourself at the Crown and staying there and guiding it on wherever it's going next?
As long as it's here, as long as we're here doing this and we're all safe, got our health and happiness, and there's no reason to change it for now. And I think this industry will always be something, like I said, whether you think you want to do a degree, you want to do this or that, you come back to it, you're drawn back in, you're pulled back in, and it's what you're good at. Not to toot my own trumpet there, but if you're good at something, you lean that way to it. And so as long as Crown's here, I'll be here.
Brilliant. Well, that's good to know, and I'm sure, Simon, it's good for you to hear as well. Right, well, on that note, that is the end of Grills. You've both survived. Thank you very much for joining me. I really enjoyed talking to you both, and hopefully we shall speak to you soon, and everything will get back to normal as soon as possible. So thank you again for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoy listening to Grilled as much as we enjoy recording it. If you want to catch up on past episodes, they are all available now. Just search for Grilled by the Staff Canteen where you normally get your podcasts. And if you want to help us keep bringing you the content you love, you can contribute from as little as £1. Just head to thestaffcanteen.com to find out how.
This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.